Hello. I wanted to draw attention to this article I came across yesterday. Woman tells Spanish speaking Mexican restaurant employees, "Get the F out of my country." Let's take a look. A woman dining in a Mexican restaurant told employees, "Get the F out of my country," because they were speaking Spanish. Miranda Castillo, a hostess at Tampico Mexican restaurant in Parkersburg, West Virginia, I guess is what WVA is. I don't know what that is. Um, saw the woman screaming at manager Sergio Budar and his brother-in-law and owner Luis Salas while they discussed restaurant renovations on Saturday. She yelled, "I've lived in California for 20 years and English is our first language, so you need to speak English," the customer said to Budar on Castillo's video. "Get the F out of my country." Her companion, a man with a white beard, attempts to quiet her, but are told the woman that any problem she has is in your mind and that he's a U.S. citizen. "I don't have a problem with the way you look, but you're in America and you need to speak English," she answered. And there's video here. I suggest you watch these videos. There's a couple videos here. It's only like 3 minutes altogether to watch these videos. It's pretty good, pretty well details what is said here in the article. I'm not going to read the rest of the article to you. It's just basically recaps what happens in the videos. Um, Now, this is ridiculous. I mean, people are allowed to speak as many languages as they want to. If you want to speak 20 languages, go right ahead and knock yourself out. So if you have a problem with somebody speaking a different language in your country, I don't know what's wrong. I mean, as long as that person speaks the dominant language, I don't have a problem with it. You can speak as many languages as you want. Like I said, be bilingual. I know. In America here, that's the four-letter word, bilingual or multilingual. That's a dirty word. We don't study other languages extensively, typically, as a culture. It's just not something that we do. And it kind of makes sense that in Europe they would do this more. They would study more languages. Um, because the countries are so close together. It's like what would be going to another state here in the United States? It's like going to another country in Europe where they speak a completely different language. So you would need to study three and four different languages to just get along with your neighbors. Um, Now, looking at the videos, this looks like it is a hoax to me. It looks like it's staged. I could be totally wrong, but there has been a couple of things happening, like actually a lot of things happening since Trump got into office. Look at the Jussie Smollett thing that just happened recently. If you don't know this, there's an actor and singer named Jussie Smollett who apparently paid a couple of African men. I'm not sure if they're said to be African. I don't know if they were born here and they're just referring to their ancestry or if they actually immigrated here from Africa to assault him under the name of prejudice. I don't know, racism or um, sexual orientationism, because apparently he's half black, half white, and gay, and so he thinks that people should be just lighting the torches and lynching every half black person or every black person and every person who is gay in this country, but that's just not happening. So I think the thought is that he wanted to draw attention to the fact that there are people in the world who are different and they're being persecuted, which is it doesn't happen on large scale in the United States. Now, I have actually had experiences like this. I had an experience like this once, I should say. I was at a cafe. This cafe had many tables set up in its entryway, an old style building, where the like there's a taper into the front door, and then they had tables set up out on the sidewalk too. And there was a handicapped gentleman sitting in his wheelchair there at one of the tables, and I think he had cerebral palsy. I didn't ask him, but that's what he looked like to me. And this guy just out of nowhere starts yelling at him. One of the other patrons just starts yelling at him, "Get out of my country! We don't want cripples in this country!" And now to be fair, the crippled guy was holding his own. He was verbally standing up for himself, and other people in the cafe were yelling at this guy to shut up and leave him alone. And I stood up and walked over towards the crippled guy because if this turned into some sort of physical confrontation, I wanted to be close to intervene. I mean, this guy was in a wheelchair and his arms were bent. You know how their wrists get bent when they have I don't know what condition that is. Like I said, I think it's cerebral palsy, but their wrists are bent over. And he was he had a little bit of trouble speaking, but he clearly spoke English, American English as a native. So this wasn't a language thing. This guy's yelling at him about how we don't want cripples in our country, which is ridiculous. It is simply ridiculous. You could get into a car accident tomorrow, mangle your leg, and then be in a wheelchair the rest of your life. You know, no fault of your own. You could just be walking down the street and somebody, just their car malfunctions and boom, they run into you. You have a broken back. You're in a wheelchair the rest of your life. Or this guy could easily go out and get drunk, stumble around, fall down a flight of stairs, break his neck. He's in a wheelchair the rest of his life. Nope, he's not. They're not allowed to be in our country anymore. Those examples they gave, those are crippled people, and they have to get out of the country. That's ridiculous. People are born crippled. You know, what are we supposed to do? Just throw them on the trash heap? No, you know what? Even if here, if other countries want to send their crippled people here because they'll have a better life here in the United States, I'm all for it. As long as they want to like assimilate into the U.S. culture. If the crippled person wants to come here and says, I'm going to have a better life in the United States, I want to be a part of that. I want to learn the language. I want to talk to my neighbors. I want to be a productive member of the society and integrate into U.S. culture. Great, come here. If we can help you out, I'm all for it. So these are some of the things that are just I think are ridiculous. These people coming up with their own ideas of what the country is supposed to be. Um, this Jussie guy, this actor, singer, he apparently has ruined his career. He's being cut from the show that he's on, and you do something like this, you commit economic suicide when people find out that you're being dishonest. Nobody's going to want to employ him to be an actor anymore or a singer. Nobody's going to want to buy his music. Nobody's going to want to purchase his product. So I hope he has a lot bankrolled. You're going to have to learn how to trade stocks real quick because nobody's going to want to employ you at the rate that you're making right now. So, anyway, guys, I wanted to draw attention to this. Check it out for yourself. Tell me what you think below. Um, I have an idea regarding the language thing, and I want to float that for everybody listening. You can tell me what you think. Maybe you can tell me if I'm wrong. Maybe you have a legal background and can tell me how legal this would be. This is just my idea. So if you want to live in the United States, if you want to be here in the United States, I think that the United States needs to have a a dominant language. It needs to have like an official language so that everybody here operates on the same level, same base level. We all speak, whatever language that is. I think that a country that doesn't have that is crippling itself. I think that Canada has handicapped itself by having two official languages or whatever, having people speak multiple languages in that country. And then there's other countries that do that as well. Um, English is the dominant language, but it's not an official language in the United States. Now, what we could do is say every financial transaction that happens in the United States has to be done in whatever language, English, for example, which is English because that is the dominant language. Every financial transaction has to be conducted in English, or else it is considered illegal, and it can be rendered null and void. And the customer has to pay for a translator, and the translator has to be an official translator. It can't be your cousin Miguel, who just happens to be fluent in both English and in Spanish, or it can't be your Uncle Juan, who knows how to speak a little bit of English and a little bit of Spanish and actually speaks Portuguese fluently or anything like that. So it's got to be an official translator. I think that would go a long way to clearing up any kind of language barriers in the United States. Now, there are a couple problems that I see with this. One is I don't know about the legality of this. This could be an infringement of freedom of speech or something. So if anybody knows, anybody's a constitutional lawyer out there listening to this, please let me know. It might be illegal in some other way. Let me know if you have a legal experience with this sort of thing. The other thing is tourism. It would probably cut down on tourism because people might not speak English when they come here just to visit. So that could cut down on birthright tourism, which I think would be a good thing. This idea that there are tourists coming here just to have babies, and so those babies are U.S. citizens, which I think is a tragedy because it's not doing this country a service. It's not helping this country by just letting anybody come in. There was another thing I think that came up with this that was just like um, unusual. And there's going to probably be problems with enforcement, but this idea it would probably go a long way to clearing up a lot of people coming here and not speaking any English after being here 35 years or so. They spend a lifetime here and they don't learn to speak English. That's ridiculous. And one of my ancestors I knew who was an immigrant to this country, spoke English. I married a woman who comes from a country that's not English speaking. So, learn to speak English. It goes a long way to making the country operate, right? If we have too many different languages being spoken in a small area, it does hinder the ability to do things. So let me know what you guys think about that idea. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I haven't thought it through thoroughly enough. But that's just my idea on how to kind of clear up some of these language problems that we have in the country. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe, leave a comment below, and I will talk to you next time.